again, just your names for the record, please.
Sure. Good afternoon. My name is Belinda Morris, for the record.
Thank you.
Thank you. I wish to thank the members of the Planning and Development Committee for agreeing to hear my deputation on behalf of plant-based food systems in Caledon. My name is Belinda Morris, and I would like to first take a few moments to introduce myself and my reason for appearing before you and presenting this topic today, that is the Plant-Based Treaty. Some of you may already be acquainted with my brother, Neil Morris, who is a longtime Caledon resident and professional environmental consultant. Neil and I were raised in a home that was respectful, even reverent, of the natural world. Both of our parents and their predecessors were active in their respective communities, ones that stressed horticulture, preservation, and conservation, values that are at the heart of Caledon. From early activism with Ontario's own pollution probe in the early 1970s, going back through decades of civic duty undertaken by relatives who held political office in English municipalities, conservation and sustainability were prioritized and placed at the forefront of their policies. Indeed, it was in this tradition that the city of Norwich, England, of which both our great uncle and aunt served successive terms as Lord Mayor, became the first city and second municipality in England to endorse the Plant-Based Treaty. Yet, Neil and I were often at opposite ends when it came to dietary practices. Whereas I was vegan as a child who simply loved animals, he was a steadfast carnivore. At the dinner table, we would secretly trade each other's meat for veggies. Our mother would despair of trying to feed each of us. Beef soup for him, vegetable soup for me. I fondly remember torturing him by sticking a Brussels sprout at the end of a fork and waving it under his nose and watching him reel with nausea. True story. Although things have changed a bit over the years and he has come to love some veggies, we have maintained our separate dietary preferences. But what we do both agree on now, is for the sake of the planet, is the need for greater plant-based food systems. Neil literally surprised me recently when he said that the transition away from meat consumption is one sound piece of the collective solution to climate change. We are especially enthusiastic about the progressive changes made in Caledon, not only the fact that the town has declared a climate emergency, but is committed to working with local groups in promoting plant-based diets to help combat what is now a climate crisis. We both are well aware of agricultural operations in the area, but stress that the increased promotion of plant-based foods will help move the needle in a positive direction without making immediate and drastic changes to extent animal agriculture. Another action that is becoming more actively promoted in Caledon is outlined in the Resilient Caledon Plan for Far-Reaching Community Climate Change. That is, the need to increasingly promote food produce for local consumption. This is especially true not only due to carbon emissions associated with food imports, as well as the increasing reliance upon imported foods, as Ontario farms are being paved over to make way for urban development. But critically, we are now witnessing the weaknesses inherent in a dependency on food imports from other countries, particularly from our neighbour to the south. Just this past week, we've all heard the news of the threat to auto manufacturing, aluminum, and other industries. But as you are aware, the threats of tariffs on Ontario greenhouse products, 85% of which are exported to the US, along with local field crops, fruit, and vegetables, is a direct threat to Ontario and Caledon's economy, upon which the agricultural and food sectors play a significant role. The rise of H1N1 in birds and now cattle is becoming more prevalent and also poses a direct threat to those industries, the food chain supply, and food security. Increasing independent plant-based food production and promoting consumption of this produce, both throughout the region and by advocating for increased interprovincial trade, would be a major step towards ensuring necessary economic independence, sustainable food sources, and environmental stewardship. The Scientist Warning Foundation, the organization that first blew the whistle on the looming climate crisis over 25 years ago, now representing more than 11,000 scientists worldwide, is reiterating its warning to geopolitical leaders and has similarly endorsed the Plant-Based Treaty. Thus, the Town of Caledon's endorsing the Plant-Based Treaty would affirm the adage, Think globally, act locally. For the planet and for Caledon, it represents a win-win solution, one whose time has come. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Jacinta McDonald. I was born in Zambia, and when I was 6 years old, our family moved to Ireland. Both of my parents are from Irish farming families. We immigrated to Kitchener in 1966. I live in Toronto with my 26-year-old son. I became pescatarian about 35 years ago for health reasons, and my son became plant-based about 10 years ago because of his concerns for the environment. We both describe ourselves as being vegan. As a mother and an environmental activist, I am doing all I can so my son has a future on this planet. I am with the Plant-Based Treaty, Toronto 350, and Toronto Climate Action Network. Starting in the summer of 2023, I worked on the successful campaign for the City of Brampton endorsement of the Plant-Based Treaty on November 13th, 2024. It was a special day for me. It happens to be my father's birthday. He would have been proud. According to my good friend, organic farmer, agroecologist, and activist Bob Garson, who is with the Ontario Climate Emergency Campaign, and many farmers groups, including being the representative of the local 334 National Farmers Union, a 2021 census stated that we're losing 319 acres a day of prime farmland in the province of Ontario to developments, urban sprawl. Today's numbers are higher and closer to 400 acres a day. Plant-based agriculture feeds more people than animal-based agriculture. It uses less land and is not as destructive to the environment as has been found with animal agriculture. Globally, 83% of farmland is used for animal agriculture, producing only 18% of the calories and 38% of the protein we all need. Promoting more plant-based food for everyone would be a great strategy for Caledon. This could protect the land and water in the surrounding area. In 2019, Canada's Food Guide was released, and it is 87% plant-based. The Plant-Based Treaty flyer folds out to show an example of a healthy plate. Not sure if you've all seen this, but it's amazing. And this flyer could be shown in or available in areas in Caledon, like the library, to help anyone who is interested in learning more about eating a plant-based diet. This would be amazing for citizens living here. In conclusion, to protect the beautiful region and promote better health for everyone, as the mayor was speaking about, I hope that Caledon will sign on to the treaty, promote plant-based menus, and commit to being a climate-friendly community. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. So sorry about the confusion.
Not a problem. Thank you for your delegation. Councillor DeBoer?
Yeah, thank you.
Hi.
As being the only member of council that has a connection to primary agriculture, whether in the province...
Sorry?
I'm the only member of council that has a connection with primary agriculture on council. So I think that some of the points, and not to say that I'm not supportive of eating healthy and having a balanced meal, the industry itself responds to a lot of the concerns about the environment. A lot of the land that is supporting and feeding the livestock are eating feed that does not that people can't consume. For example, hay and corn silage is an example. To oversimplify, and the statement here is oversimplifying it. So let's just throw some money at some farmers and make them change the way they're doing things. One of the reasons that people are in the industry, regardless of whether it's livestock, vegetables, organic vegetables, greenhouse production, fruit and nut production in Ontario, in any of the number of other areas that we're into, is because they enjoy it. To throw money at and especially when you talk about Europe being $30 million, We don't get that kind of money from North America, and especially in Canada. We're always competing as an industry for competing against the governments in both Europe and in the United States. The U.S. Farm Bill is in the trillions of dollars that they pay their farmers to farm the mailbox. While I support the intent, I think that there's a number of statements that I do have questions about and do have concerns about it, and that comes from my experience within the industry. And knowing the hard work that many, many people are putting in the industry, the 1%, to produce the food for the rest of the 99. So while I do appreciate your comments, and I'm always open to the conversation, it's not as simple as what you're suggesting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's true, it isn't simple, but if there's a will, there's a way.
Excellent. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Appreciate everyone's delegations. And Mayor Groves, you still want to put forward that motion? And I believe Councillor Rosa to second it. Could we get it put on the screen for clarity? Okay, do we have any questions to the motion itself? Okay, Mayor Groves?
Thank you, Chair, and through you. And while I understand it's not just as simple as it sounds, I think we have to start somewhere. I know that in Italy they've banned GMO because everyone is trying to eat healthy. Because again, I'm a firm believer that this is costing our healthcare system, which is already in crisis, a whole lot of money. We have shortages with our doctors, our nurses, our hospital, all of these folks who provide healthcare services for us. And if we don't start somewhere, it's only going to get worse. And I will tell you that all the research that the experts at the Region of Peel has done really demonstrates how important it is to eat healthy. I know the Region of Peel, they have a locally grown sort of a campaign that they run all the time, yearly. I understand it you know, the farmers are struggling with a number of things, but again, if we don't start somewhere, and as I said earlier, it's incumbent on every level of government to step up. The federal government needs to step up. The provincial government needs to step up, because I'll tell you, I don't know the number right now, and I don't know the cost in the increase in costs in our healthcare system, but I can tell you that I can assure you that it's a whole lot of money. Diabetes, I'm going to go back to that again. And it's been a huge, huge concern in our region. Diabetes, I read somewhere, is now known as type 3, I don't know, dementia or something. We had a presentation from Dr. Saha, who's our medical director at the Region of Peel for our long-term care homes. He's a gerontologist. I believe that all of these things, I'm not the expert, but I know that in Dr. Saha's presentation, one of the things he spoke about is the increase in dementia, and that folks are now getting dementia at a younger age, and it's actually quite scary. I believe that what he said was 1 in 3. Think about that. Very, very scary. And again, I will say, we are what we eat. And if we don't start somewhere, it is only going to get worse, because it's gotten worse over the years. Our emergency departments are full. We continue to hear about hallway medicine. Just take a drive over to the emergency department. You'll see how many people are in the hallways. You will see the doctors running off their feet and the nurses trying to deal with what they have at the hospitals. We have a shortage of doctors, nurses, healthcare workers. We've got a shortage of PSW workers. We've seen our seniors, our kids. And as I said earlier, these kids, if we don't start with them at an early age, they will develop obesity, and it just moves forward in their adult lives. And like I said, I'm going to stress diabetes. We've seen that increase, and obesity contributes to it, and a whole lot of other issues that people are struggling with. You spoke about inflammation. How many people are struggling with arthritis? And again, we don't even have enough specialists to deal with this. Arthritis is crippling to a lot of people. It creates issues for them to even work. We have skilled trade workers that are working. They can't be out there because they're dealing with all of these types of issues. I know for a fact that there are certain foods out there that combat inflammation, arthritis, all of those things. And I keep going back to the healthcare system, because if we don't start somewhere and we don't start investing in good health, it's only going to get worse. So I'm happy to support and endorse what you are doing and your initiative, because, we have other municipalities, we have other countries that are doing this. Canada needs to get on board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Groves. Councillor DeBoer, to the motion, please.
Thanks. I think the motion kind of oversimplifies what the delegation was asking for. I think that they were asking for something that was going to have deliverables. I don't know if I can support the motion as it is. It's not that I'm opposed with the presentation. I just think that if we're going to drive down a road where it has to do with healthcare, a balanced nutritional diet that doesn't start in a fast food restaurant is the answer as a starting point. So I think that between the commentary and the motion, I'm kind of a little bit confused at how the two are going together. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess before moving on to Mayor Groves, for me personally, I think the inclusion of one doesn't support or negate the other, meaning the farming community doesn't necessarily need to be diminished by supporting this. This is the way I look at it personally. I think going towards a reduction of greenhouse gas emissions in that direction is something that for me personally, we can support. But recognizing, Councillor DeBoer, where you're coming from, because I think it's an important variable, is that it's not at the to negatively downplay one and support the other. I think supporting one can be done in its context. So that's for me as the chair. But Mayor Groves, please.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, I'm happy to amend the motion to add in there also that council directs staff to circulate a letter, but also direct staff to work, that we direct staff to work with this group, because there are a number of initiatives that I am certain that our group in our climate change department would be able to work with them on a number of deliverables. I don't know what those deliverables are, and I don't want to include them in the motion because I'm sure there's a cost to these deliverables. And so happy to include something in there where we direct staff to work with this with the plant-based treaty group, and they can work through all of those things.
Just give us a moment. I think the clerk is including or amending as such. Okay, we're just waiting for the screen or the motion to reappear. Yeah, we'll speak. Is there something you'd want to include quickly?
That we are in the town of Caledon promoting climate action. We're happy to work alongside the plant-based treaty and town staff on those actual deliverables, which I believe support eating more plant-rich, not necessarily, like you had mentioned, Councillor Russo, diminishing other industries.
Okay. Yeah. We have something up on the screen now. I think it captures the essence, but to the mover.
I'm good with that.
Okay, to the seconder, Councillor Rosa. Okay. Any other questions to the motion? Seeing none, then just call the vote. Any other debate or conversations we can have offline as well.
Councillor DeBoer,
Opposed.
Councillor Early,
In favor.
Councillor Mascal,
In favor.
Councillor Napoli,
In favor?
Councillor Rosa,
In favor.
Councillor Sheen,
Opposed.
Mayor Groves,
In favor.
Chair Russo.
In favor.
Through the chair, the motion carries.
Thank you.